everyone, it's Gamers from Nowhere.
Woo!
We're here to talk about stuff.
Yeah, what stuff are we here to talk about?
Let's talk about the thing that has the tsunami of pop culture that is Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
Yes. Alright, so I didn't think, okay, I'll admit, I was wrong. I did not think it would take off like this.
I didn't either.
I thought it would kind of just stumble out, say hey, then die of a disease, a horrible disease, and fall on the floor, and we'd have to just mop it up later like it was an embarrassment. But it's actually done quite well. Actually, that's an understatement. It's done phenomenal. I believe Nintendo stocks are up 20% just from this game. It's actually, I think it actually has more market value than Sony as of right now, because of the just the sheer popularity of this game. That being said, I'm not sure how much money Nintendo's actually making from it, because if you think about it, it has to be divided between Niantic, who developed the game, has to be developed, and then it has to be through the Pokemon Company, which is comprised of, I think, the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, and Creatures Inc. I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know how it's. And then Nintendo.
Yeah, and Google Maps too.
And then
right?
Google. Yeah, I'm sure Google. So I'm not sure what cut Nintendo's getting. Is probably not as much as Nintendo wants, or as much as we think, or as people think anyway.
I don't know. People are going kind of crazy about it, so it might not matter what the cut is.
Yeah.
The thing that throws me off is that they've made so much money off of it, and yet it's a free app.
Yeah.
So that just tells you how much in-app purchases.
I know. It really just shows how popular, at least in the current era. Oh, by the way, Dustin's here. Dustin, say hello. Hello. Anyway,
now they'll talk the rest of the podcast.
Now you're done. Okay. Now, it really shows how,
Can I go now?
at least in this modern culture, how popular revolving IPs are, like Disney, Marvel.
Yeah.
Everything's getting rebooted and redone, and it really shows you how much power like an old IP like Pokemon has. That everyone's just like, oh, I remember Charmander.
Well, I mean, especially since it just celebrated its 20th year.
Yeah, but it's a mixture of both the fact that it's Pokemon, but also it's not just nostalgia, because there's older people who didn't even grow up with Pokemon playing it.
That's true.
So I'm not sure what that's about.
I can't tell you how many people that I have heard of that are older than us that are enjoying it. Like, I have a person that I work with who... One day she just came up to me. She was like, "Hey, do you play Pokemon Go?" And I'm like, "A little bit, not too much, but yeah, I play it." She's like, "Why is everybody making such a big fuss about it?" And I was like, "You just really have to download the app and play it yourself to figure it out." And she did, and she loves it. She's been all involved with it and just cannot get enough of it. She even got her mom involved with it. That's how much she loves this game. I mean, you know, bad enough that this lady who, I won't tell you how much older she is than us, but I will say that she's older than 10 years older than us. So, you know, bad enough that she's involved with it, but then she's got her mom involved with it too. Like, I got a text message from her today saying that her mom thinks that she somehow killed herself in Pokemon Go. So that's the extent that Pokemon Go has gone to.
There's actually, I mean, there's a Donald Trump ad against Hillary Clinton that involves Pokemon Go.
I don't doubt it.
and Hillary Clinton actually mentioned Pokemon Go in one of her speeches. She's like, Pokemon Go to the polls, or something like that.
Everybody is hopping onto the Pokemon Go bandwagon.
So it's crazy. One wonders though if it's gotten too popular too fast and the bubble will burst. Because that is a fear.
It is a fear. I think that as long as, because I saw a thing that said what Pokemon Go's plans for like different updates are.
Yeah.
I think if they could stick to schedule with that, then they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that, like, you know, everybody wants to find all the Pokemon. You know, that's the main thing about it. You know, go catch them all. Got to catch them all. But when you can't, when it's set up for you not to be able to catch them all because you're waiting for special events for certain Pokemon like Mewtwo,
or the servers are down.
Yeah, that's a
huge.
That's a whole
issue
nother
right there.
issue in the.
But you know, you're waiting for Mewtwo, or what I think that the legendary trio for the teams are also going to be an event.
Right. Articuno, Moltres, Zapdos, probably. Yeah.
They're going to be an event too. So I mean, as long as they stick to schedule, and then I heard in December they're supposed to release the update for Gen 2.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know, I get that's kind of soon, but hey, by then everybody should have caught them all anyway.
Yeah. So let's talk about. Do you want to just talk about some of our? What do you think about the game as like a whole? Because I know we have sort of diverse opinions on it.
We can. I'll start off. I think that the game itself is great. Mm-hmm. I love the concept of it. I love the fact that it inspires you to go out and, you know, see nature and just be a part of the community and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Go and see new things. Mm-hmm. But with all good things, there are some negative, and there's a few negatives for me that really kind of hinder me from wanting to play the game. Where I live, it's not very populated, and this game is super biased to highly populated.
We live in nowhere, remember?
True, we live in nowhere, so it's hard to find anything around here. If you get lucky that you get a Rattata to show up, you know, woohoo, I just caught my 30th Rattata.
Yeah.
But it's very rare to find a Pokemon out where I live. I don't mind going out to the city to go and find the stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind it if, you know, I could walk around my neighborhood, which I live in a very big neighborhood itself. It's just very spaced out.
Right.
I wouldn't mind if I could just walk through my neighborhood like you're supposed to be able to do and find Pokemon. Or Polka Stops. Polka Stops is another thing. Have you heard of the controversies with some of these Polka Stops?
Oh, right, where people were like going
to the Holocaust monument, and
there's also supposedly some people were robbed at Pokestop. Like these guys just hung out by a Pokestop, and every time someone would walk by to flip the daggum, they robbed the person.
Yep. So. Yep. I've heard that churches that do not understand what Pokemon actually is are protesting, trying to get Pokemon to take the Pokestop off of their property.
There are some churches that do the opposite right now.
Yeah, they promote it big time. Like, hey, we got a Pokemon stop, come in. You know, which is great for the churches itself if you want to get people in the door. But I saw a video on Facebook last night of a guy talking about Pokemon Go and how it was like, excuse me, how in my real life experiences with Pokemon, it's all demonic, and I'm like, I've never heard of, you know, Pokemon being real before, and I've never heard of there being demonic issues with Pokemon. I've never heard of anything like that before. I have heard of somebody seeing a Pokemon pop up out of a Pokemon card before, but you know, that's another thing for another time. But he was talking about how the game and the anime made fun of some different Christian views. And I'm like, I'm pretty well versed in the game, and I'm decently versed in the anime, and I don't remember anywhere where it mocked any kind of Christianity kind of stuff. So now, if he wants to talk about Digimon, okay, I can see where in the anime they did do some stuff like that.
What are you talking about? Digimon?
Yeah, Digimon had some things that were pretty messed up from a Christian view. But
what?
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
That's for another debate.
Right.
But yeah, so, you know, like the other day when we went looking for Pokemon stops, we came across the cemetery that had a bunch of Pokemon stops in it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did do that.
That's right over near my house.
I forgot we did that. I was like, for a second.
I mean,
yeah,
you know,
we tread upon the dead for the sake of Pokemon.
You know,
which I mean, whatever.
I could kind of see where people would be like, you know, that's just disrespectful and that kind of stuff. So it's a little iffy in that sense.
I'm sure they would love to know that
almost
people are
all
visiting.
those Pokestops though. There's like a little path, like a
yeah. It's not to where you have. It's not like you have to go out and step on any of the graves or do anything like that. You could easily just ride by in your car and do it. But you know, there are people in this world that want to
mourn the dead. You're going to collect some
Pokeballs and revives.
Hey,
That's pretty bad. You go collect revives in a cemetery.
If I was dead, I would be so happy if people got to visit my tombstone because of some gaming thing. Actually, I'd be dead, so I wouldn't wish anything.
I have to say, it's pretty bad though when you go and you collect revives out of a Pokemon stop that's in a cemetery. It's kind of
that's just a bit of morbid irony.
It is, but yeah, those are the few things that kind of deter me from enjoying it. You know, along with the servers going down constantly, and which was terrible when it first started. Now it's gotten a little bit better.
It's bizarre that it's so successful and it's so buggy. It really begs the question, because if you think about it, if you actually look at the reviews for this game, the reviews for this game are actually pretty negative, because they say, hey, it's buggy, it's biased against people in rural areas, it's hard to catch Pokemon.
Which is true.
Which is true. I think it's a little exaggerated.
Well, think about when you came up to my house the other weekend.
I caught something at your house.
You did. You caught what? A Weedle.
No, I caught a Nidoran.
Oh, here's
female.
Okay, I have a couple cents to throw into that. As far as bias to rural areas and compared to like suburban areas, Polka Stops, I agree. Like, they're much more rare, but I think Pokemon in general, I think I don't think they're necessarily less common, because I work and out in literally the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there, but Pokemon pop up left and right over there. Pokemon pop up left and right at Hawkins House, and he lives more out nowhere than we do.
That is true. That is true. But I guess
Polka Stops are a different story.
I guess it depends. Well, I mean, gyms and Polka Stops, you would expect those to be more in the highly populated areas.
Right.
I guess it more or less depends on, like, because like Hawkins kind of lives out there in, like, I guess we could kind of familiarize it with Viridian Forest. So it makes sense that he would be able to find a good bit of Pokemon out there, as opposed to me, where I live kind of out like in open land country area.
Meanwhile, I can't catch Jack F out there at my house, and I'm right there in between all of the.
That's true. It must just be our side of the street.
I guess so.
Oh, I had a point, but I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, it's just funny because if you think about it, objectively, in terms of how this game works, in terms of how buggy it is, and just how much it crashes and stuff, it's not exactly, and even determining like mechanically compared to the Pokemon games that we're familiar with, it's not exactly a great game when it comes down to it.
It's not. It reminds me a lot of Pokemon Rumble in a way.
Yeah, so if you actually look at the reviews, a lot of them are like 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. Very few are like 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But what it is a new experience. So it's kind of weird. It's like it's an interesting conversation, because on one hand, it's not actually that great of a game, but on the other hand, it's a great experience. So it really calls into question what makes a game good.
Well, and not to mention, it has the nostalgia factor for so many of us that are playing it right now. It's got the huge nostalgia factor of, hey, I'm actually going out there and catching these Pokemon that I grew up with. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then for the other people that play it and just love it, I think that they love it for a different reason. It's something different. It's something new. I know that some people love it because of the fact that, you know, you can find a Pokemon in a very random area and it would take a funny picture with it. Like, how many times have you seen the picture of the Eevee getting run over by a car? So, you know, I can understand where those are coming from.
The only other thing, and I think Dustin, we actually briefly talked about this yesterday at the park, is Pokemon Go. One of my problems with it, and I think our problems with it, is that I feel like it's the very antithesis of Pokemon to an extent. Like, this is a game where you level up your trainer. You don't really raise your Pokemon. Well, you do raise them. Sure, you can level them up, but it's all completely contingent on you catching more of the same Pokemon.
Exactly, which is not what Pokemon's about.
Pokemon's about a single Pokemon that you raise through time and you bond with.
Exactly.
Because you raised over time.
Exactly. It's not about catching all of these Pokemon in order to evolve one and then transferring in order to hopefully get...
How strange is it they give us a starter, a Squirtle, Charmander, Bulbasaur, but there's like literally nothing we can do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, my Charmander's still like level 12.
the whole level up system for it does not make sense to me. And then one other thing that I'm very interested to find out if it's got anything else, and it might, and I just haven't realized it. What impact the teams are really going to have. I know that they have a lot to do with the gyms, but like I just feel like they're going to have more of an importance later on down the road.
I hope so. I hope they. You think they'll make a? I wonder if they'll make a green team.
I don't know.
What would it be? Bulbasaur.
Oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. Would it?
It really wouldn't unless they were to change it up in some way.
Yeah, because I forgot they're all legendary birds. Do you think they'll? Oh, for Gen 2, I wonder if they'll change that up. Oh, legendary beasts.
Could be.
They'll follow the same color code.
It would. I just wonder if it would be like you get to another certain level and then now you pick a higher up rank.
Or like then you could be like Team Ho-Oh, Team Lugia, Team Silver, or Team Gold.
Something like that.
That'd be awesome. That'd be pretty neat.
One thing I love is how much some of the community has just embraced the fact that everybody's playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything like Pokemon like touch pop culture this way since like Pokemon came out in the 90s.
Right.
Like it is everywhere.
Like I mean, what was it the other day? The Civic Center was giving out free water to people that were playing Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were just like, come inside and take a breath and drink some cold water and cool down while you're playing Pokemon Go. I mean, one of the local game shops here is just doing a get 20% off of a game, and show that you're playing just by showing you're playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on Facebook where it was like a pizza place was saying like if you reach level 5 you get a free soda or something like that, and then if you reach level I think 10 you get free breadsticks.
I'm almost 10, so
yeah. If you reach like level 15, you get a free slice of pizza. You reach level 20, you get 2 free slices of pizza. You reach level 28, you get a full free pizza. So you know, just that kind of thing.
What are we sitting around here for?
We need to go.
Let's go.
We need to go get higher level, guys.
I'm on the road. Okay. But it is weird though. Like I mean, it's so weird because. In a way, as we talked about, it is the antithesis of Pokemon, but in a way, it's also so close to Pokemon. It's so weird to go out in the middle of like a park and then have a rare Pokemon pop up, and then everyone just be like, "Oh crap! Did you see that? There's a rare," and everyone just runs to go do that thing.
Yeah,
as if it was like in real life.
It's the closest that we're going to get to having actual Pokemon that we can do stuff with. Until
the closest we've ever been.
Well, I think it'll be the closest that we'll ever get to until virtual reality hits it big. And then you can actually become the Pokemon trainer and be in your own Pokemon journey.
And then you can become.
But I think that's a long way from now. Because
at that point, I'd just be done with like real life.
Well, either that's going to happen, or they're going to find some way in order to actually breed Pokemon, like create and breed Pokemon themselves. And
yeah, no, I was gonna say if it were the VR, if there were like a virtual reality, I guess for game, I would just go full Sword Art Online.
That's what I was about to say. It's kind of like Sword Art Online.
Knock me out and let me just live my dream.
Honestly, that's actually kind of what I mean. If I don't know, if our listeners know Dookie Shed, but it kind of sounded like he was just going to quit life and just do Pokemon Go for the rest of his days. And that's what actually, someone from New Zealand actually did that.
Yeah,
they quit their job and they said they're just going to play Pokemon Go.
Pokemon trainer full time. He's living the actual dream.
Hey, I mean,
it's crazy how much support he's got too.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a person that's on Craigslist that's like, hey, I'll drive you around town for $10 an hour.
The Uber.
Yeah, I'll drive you around town for $10 an hour. I'll stop whenever you say Charizard. Doesn't matter if we're going 70 on the interstate. I'll stop right there so you can catch your Pokemon. I'll do all the driving. Leave it to me, and you can enjoy your Pokemon adventure.
Wow.
I mean, you know, what a great job, right? $10 an hour.
Yeah, the only thing I like better than Pokemon Go, honestly, right now, is just the whirlpool of obsession that we're currently trapped in.
Exactly.
That I see that other people are trapped in anyway. I really feel like it's like a blast from the past. Almost.
It is. It is. Like I said, it's the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, except this time around, it's almost one could argue that Pokemon Go is even bigger because now, I mean, because think about it, when Pokemon came out in the '90s, it was mostly relegated to people our age back then, which was
Yeah. You know why it's
5 to 10-year-olds.
You know why it's bigger?
Now it's 5 to 80-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know why it's bigger? Because it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. People can actually go in and
Yeah, and
get it
everybody,
and enjoy
everybody
it.
and their mom has like a smartphone nowadays.
Exactly. You can.
Back then,
It's
not
easier.
many
It's
people
easier
had
to
Game
get a
Boys.
hold of. It's easier to play.
I bet people who played who made those Game of War ads with Kate Upton and that Arnold Schwarzenegger ad, I forget for that other Mobile Strike, are like so mad they spent probably millions. They had to because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger on that commercial, and then Pokemon Go comes out with like one ad
that they played at the Super Bowl,
and then they're done, and then it's just a huge phenomenon.
But again, it's free. It's immersive. You feel like you're actually doing something. Because, like, it's so cool to sit there and look at the screen and see, like, hey, this is the street I'm on. This is the street I'm about to go on. Yeah. And it's actually following how I'm going. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you get the Pokemon that just pops up and you don't know what it's going to be. And then you see that it's a Pidgey or it's a Tauros or it's a Jinx. And it's like, hey.
Or probably Rattata.
More than likely.
Or Rattata.
Spearow or something.
But then, you get that really high level Fearow that just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, like actually Dustin and I were at the park the other day and I put a lure down and randomly a pincer showed up.
Yeah, like I remember because it was right when you were it was in the middle of you complaining about how nothing was showing up.
Yeah.
You're like, I put this lure up here like 15 minutes ago and Jack F has appeared and boop, pincer.
Yeah.
Well, like CP's 268.
Oh, and after that, see, that was great. That was a great one in Pokemon Go. And then about 15 minutes later, Dustin left to go do something, and then a CP 367 Pidgeot, I think it was, appeared before me, and then I threw a Pokeball, and my game froze. It did that thing where it like zooms in, and just stayed there, and then oh no, and I just waited there for a while. Then I exited the app, then I restarted. Of course, it was gone. I restarted my phone. Of course, it was over.
Did it not show that you caught it? Because sometimes it'll show that you've caught it.
Yeah, I think sometimes it does, but for some reason it didn't. And I was so mad.
My theory is that if you were actually going to catch it, then they'll save it for you. But if
it probably popped out.
Pop out, then
it probably popped out.
That's
Sadly. It's going to be so great when they finally give you Master Balls to catch stuff with.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of looking forward to when less people are playing the game because I think it'll be more easier to log on.
Yeah. It probably will be, but at the same time, think about it though. It means less Pokemon will show up.
Maybe. And I'll miss people talking about it on the news and stuff. I mean, hell, I remember they said Charlie Rose is. Do you know who Charlie Rose is?
Yeah.
He's a famous interviewer. And Stephen Colbert was talking about Pokemon Go. And it's
it's been everywhere.
It's pretty great. I don't know why I like seeing that stuff so much because it doesn't really affect me at all, but it just makes me happy.
You're happy that
Pokemon's getting
everyone is acknowledging the existence of Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess it kind of feels like when you like something, it sort of becomes a part of you. So it kind of feels like you're acknowledged in a small way.
And then on top of it, it's something that you've been a part of since day one.
Right.
At
least we have.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's why
hipsters.
That's why you enjoy it so much when you see that stuff. It's because you've loved this game, like a child almost, since day one.
Yeah,
like in all honesty, I mean, we can say that we contributed to the existence of this game because us as fans.
I believe that me and Garrity have definitely contributed with as many times as we bought the games over and over and over.
Same with you too, Steph.
Yeah, you do have your fair collection, but
I just remember one time. I just remember Pokemon was so big back then. I remember one time, Hunter, you and I think it was like a dance for Del May, and I dressed up as that Godzilla, 1997 Godzilla.
You were Godzilla, and I was a knight. Yeah, I do remember that.
And I remember we were dancing around. We were singing because there was a commercial at the time for Pokemon Pikachu.
Yep.
And we were like Pokemon Pikachu. I don't know. We were singing.
I do remember that. I remember you bought your Game Boy, and it was one of the first times I actually got to play Pokemon. Like I knew Pokemon, but. It was one of the first times I actually got to play it and enjoy it. And I remember I talked my mom into going that weekend to go get me a Game Boy and get me Pokemon Yellow. And I remember I was so frustrated because I was like, I had watched some of the anime and saw that I should beat Brock with his Pikachu. And so I was like, hey, I should be able to do that, right? And it's like, not effective. I'm like, what? So I was very frustrated and tried to figure out how to.
Yeah, and I want people to have. I kind of want people to have those experiences. That's why I'm kind of hoping for Pokemon Go to turn people onto the actual like mainline RPGs.
Yeah,
because those are in my. Because I mean, I like Pokemon Go. I like what it. I think it's a good experience.
I agree.
I'm not sure it's a good game. So I just think that they should try that out. So
yeah,
I think that the anime needs to get a little bit better in order for people to want to. Yeah. That way, because think about it. When we grew up, we had both, and we enjoyed both.
Yeah.
And we tried to copy what the anime did sometimes with our games. I remember I stupidly nicknamed my Pikachu Ash, thinking that I was naming my character Ash after I'd already named my character.
What was their name?
Ash.
Ashton, not Ash.
And then I think I named it Gary, but I think I either named my rival Gary or I named him Blue, just because I was trying to find Gary and I think I accidentally hit Blue. I was like, no, this doesn't make sense because I didn't know about Blue and Red at the time.
I mean, I don't think anyone did really. I mean, even at Matt's Game Stage the other day, and they have some of the original manuals. And even then, they're like, "Oh, you play as Ash," and it's like.
Well, I think in Yellow it's supposed to be that you play
so.
more as Ash than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's funny? They'll probably never do that again because that was a game that followed the anime, and now and now that the anime is not as popular, that'll probably never happen.
Probably. I hope not because God knows I don't want to have an Ash Greninja.
Oh yeah.
Well, we might anyway if you follow Sun and Moon. I don't know.
Yeah, well. That's
another subject.
That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother time. And speaking of time, we've run out of time. So from nowhere, we'll see y'all next time.
Goodbye.
Later. Hey guys, I accidentally stopped the recording.
You realize you don't have to tell them that. We could just edit it into it, right?
What?
Right? Couldn't you just edit it into it?
Yeah.
So we don't technically have to tell them that you effed up?
Yeah.